And here we are. We are on a dashboard. In fact, this first part I don't need to type. So I got a nice clean 3D dashboard. I've got a tab here, 3D Reviewer, and nothing here. Brand new. Now up in 3D Search, I've already run a search before. I was looking for a suspension because I want to do some work on a suspension. So I'm just going to redo that search. And this is going to go back and grab that search that I did and give me some search results here. You see a bunch of things there. There's some PDFs and whatnot and so on. And I'm going to use the tagging that's in here because I'm really interested in things that are in a very specific collaboration space that I'm using for demo purposes. So I've kind of narrowed it down to just a few things here. Now I'm going to be coming back to this, so I don't want to have to do this search over and over again. So this button right over here, this little circle with an arrow, that means pin to dashboard. Well, what dashboard? Well, the one I was just on, 3D Reviewer. I click Add, and there it is. The search results are here in my dashboard. Okay? And I can make that a little bit bigger here just by drag and drop. Now, I've got some stuff here, but here's this front suspension I'm interested in. I can select that. Now, in previous webinars I showed you I could add a widget and drag and drop. I could go from a change action and drag and drop and all that kind of stuff. But there's another paradigm by which you can work. And that is select. That's what I want. And now I'm going to launch the app with what I've selected. So I'm going to go into my north quadrant because this is an Innovia app. And I've actually made it one of my favorites here, right there, 3D Review. But it's going to be in your list of things. If can't find it, you can always hit the button here, and you can type in review. And there it is, 3D Review. Now I'm not going to drag and drop that. I could. I'm going to show you another thing you can do. I'm just going to click it. And it's going to launch it. Okay, that's going to launch it. There it is. It's launched it in its own little window, pop-up window. And it's actually going to put that suspension in there because I had selected the suspension and then said, open the suspension in this thing. So that's another way to work, depending what works best for you. Do you like to set up the widget and put stuff in it, or search for something and then open up the app of interest on that search? Now again, I want to work on this, so I don't want to have to do this every single time. So I'm going to again hit that button there to pin it to my dashboard. Which dashboard? This one with 3D Reviewer. Okay, so there's my search results. There's my 3D Reviewer. And you know what? I'm going to grab these search results and just throw them over here. Okay, so that they're over here. And let's just go ahead and make some more room for this guy right there. Okay, pretty simple stuff. Now, I actually already have some reviews that I've created on this. How do I retrieve those things? A couple of different ways. One, I go, this is my tab, so there's view if I want to do some panning and rotating if I don't know what the Catia mouse actions are, because this was the Catia file. I don't know how to use the middle finger, mouse, right click, all that stuff. I can just use this here. I have some tools, which we're not going to get into too much on this. This is a really basic way to show some different things and browse relationships. You've seen me do those tools in the past. And here's where the magic happens. This is all the review tab. And this one here, this little, looks like a database with a little magnifying glass. This allows me to find any markups already associated and stored with this model. And you can see I have 2 of them that I've made. And to open one, I just click on it. Then it's going to load that review in, and you can see I've got my initial, what's called a nominal view that I set up. And then I've got a slide here. Okay, I've colored some things red and hidden some things. And I got this one here, which I created a dimension here between 2 surfaces. Okay, that was a basic one. I have another review you can take a look at. There's review number 2. It's another very basic one where all I really did was hide some stuff and make it all yellow, just as an example. So that's one way that you can find all those markups. Now what's really cool about this is multiple people can start creating markups against that design. And then you can retrieve those markups as you need. So instead of having markup objects all over the place and trying to manage all of those things, they are stored together with the model and you can retrieve them directly, which I think is pretty powerful. But the markups are objects in the database. Here they are. There's 1, and there's 2. Those are the same markups you just saw. So in fact, if I know what markup I want to work on, I can just take this, drag and drop it. Didn't drag and drop it right. Drag and drop it. And it will load it directly. Okay? I want the other one. Drag and drop it. There's the other one. Okay? So, these are stored with the model, but they are objects that you can find. What's really, really cool is if you have a task or a change action, these reviews can become the context to describe exactly what you want to have happen in that task or that change. And they can just select on these and go right to the review of interest. Instead of, oh, here's the master model, and then go look at review number 5. Just put the review right there. Digital continuity, make it easy for people to do the work just by simple connecting the dots on a couple things. Okay, so I want to do a new review. And I want to walk through some of these things. So I'll go back. Let me just exit everything out of here. And I'll start from the beginning. I'll do a brand new review. And we'll also do an edit of another review just for grins and giggles. Okay, so there's nothing here. Now, let me sit down here and do some mouse action. I'll make this full screen. Now, usually what I like to recommend, a couple of things. Number one, we want to create that nominal view that everyone's going to get when they first see it. Which could be this, it could be something else, it could be whatever you wanted. I'll just do this for now. The other thing, if you are going to be taking measurements, you see right now the default is all these smooth edges don't have lines on them. You may need those lines to help pick for certain measurements. So over here in this little empty cylinder, you can click the down arrow, and I recommend at least do shading with edges. Then you can see all the edges, which can become lines for selection. And you can see where the surface boundaries are and that sort of stuff. Okay, so that's what I want. So I'll go to the Review tab, and there's this camera. Just click, take a picture. There's the picture. So there's the nominal slide. In fact, if I let's say, zoom in like this, it's a real-time edit. You'll see my nominal just changed. Okay, so you can go back and change at any time. But be careful with that, because as you are manipulating, you are actually authoring, okay? So let's start here. What I'm going to do, I'll just select a bunch of stuff here, and we'll go ahead and hide it. So I'll do that again. I just selected a bunch with this. Now there's two ways to drag here. Okay, I'm just going to drag that. And you saw these things pop up. It's kind of gray until I mouse over it. So it kind of pops up, there it is. Okay, and I can just hit the little eyeball with the slash through it, and it hides. Okay, I can hide some things here that were behind the selections. Okay. All right, now what's left? A couple of things. So let's go and do some dimensions. And this one here, let's change the color of it. We'll make it, let's say, purple. Maybe there's a reason for purple. And in fact, we can go in and we can create some text. So we have text, circle, arrow, and picture. So let's put some text on there. It helps you. Select a point. I want the text to go right there. There it is. I can put in some text. Now notice it pulls the part name. You can override that just by clicking in there and typing something out. All right, let's be real Captain Obvious here. This part is purple. Now this is like a label, so as you rotate it around, it's stuck to that point, and it moves around in 3D space. You notice right beside it is 2D text. If I click that, I can do the exact same thing. And this time I'll say this part is purple, 2D. Put it over here like that. What do you think is going to happen as I rotate this? It's 2D. It's just going to stay on the screen. Oops, it's not even connected anymore. Okay? This is why it's important that when you have what you want, notice, now as I go back and forth, it's kind of where it needs to be. Now, if I want to do something else, another slide, I don't edit right now because right now I'm active on this particular slide, and I can put here. purple. Right? I need to create a new slide. Now I'm editing this new one and I'm not messing up the purple one. Also, if I right-click on this, you see I can change some things. I can change the colors. There's some built-in ones here. But you can also change that yourself. You can make it bigger, smaller, and you can change the color text manually if you want. Okay? You can change the line text and so on. So, but if you click on this, right-click on it, I got hide and show, and I got delete. Be careful with this. If I say delete, it will disappear, not only from this view, but from that view as well. Okay, so what I really need to do is hide it. So now it's hidden from that view, but it shows in that view. Okay? And what I'll do, I'll hide this part as well. So a couple of dimensions. Let's take a look. So when I click on this, I can do a thickness measurement or a measurement with a little, you see a little ruler there. Now, there are a bunch of ways to select. This is very similar to the measurement tools in Product Explorer and Product Editor, where you can control what it is you're selecting. So if I were to select, say, this one here, which is planes, now you'll notice it's only going to allow me to select planes. So this curved surface here, I can't select it, but there's a plane. I can select that. All right? So let's say I wanted to get a dimension between this surface. Notice it's first defaulting to the area, but if I continue to another surface, now it says, okay, you must want the dimension here, the angle between those two surfaces. So it's kind of intelligent. So if instead this time what I'll do, instead of surfaces, I'm going to do points. Let's say I'll pick a point back here. Again, it's giving me the XY point. If I pick this point there, now it's giving me a dimension. Now I could stop there, or I could continue on in a chain measurement. And that chain measurement, I could then show from the distance from this point to the next one and the next one, or I can do it this way, which is more what they call the fanning dimension, where it's showing me from the base the first point that I picked. So for example, if I keep picking here, here, now you see I've got several measurements, oops, there from those points where I started. Okay, so instead of having to pick that one 3 times, once, twice, 3 times, I can do that fan measurement. So there's some capabilities there that you want. And again, just like with the labels, you have the ability to you can display more information or less information. You can control the coloring, the text size, and so on. Okay? Let me go back to the nominal one. I'll create another slide off of this one. And which is nice because I don't have to hide all those annotations. I can start fresh from this one. And this is really the last couple things to show here. Circle, pretty simple. Where do you want the circle to be? Let's put it right there. There it is. And it kind of moves around. It's anchored to the object there. But it has properties as well. You want to change the color of it. There's a fill color, or no fill color. Okay, and there's a line color and a thickness as well. So if I want it to be, let's say, a purple line or a blue line, I can do that too. Okay? A couple other things to mention about the measurements. If I were to do, let's say, a circle, and say, oh yeah, look, here looks like a cylinder, let me do that. Not let me pick that thing. Why not? Because it's not really a circle. If you look at that surface, it's a sweeping surface, so it's more like a weird shape if you were to look at it from top down. Over here it might be a circle. No, that's not a circle either. So there's different ways that you can look for an axis potentially, but it really depends on your geometry. So like over here where I don't have these nice shapes, I've got more of a block. I can find that, and again, it can give me the location of that. I can persist and keep that in and start doing some more of them and keep them, right? Or I can get things like the radius of it as well. So I can look for a center point and get the radius of that. I want that one. Now, some of these things, you can do some approximated. So if I really want to know the dimension of this, and it's not seen as a circle because of the nature of the surface, you can do a 3-point measurement here. So I can do a point there, point there, point there. Oops, I missed it. There we go. Click 3 points, do a third point. And it'll give an approximate. Notice the approximate there. The other thing you can do, which might be interesting, is you can do sectioning. So sectioning is right here, this button there, section. And it's throwing a plane on there, and I can right-click on that section, and I can position it different ways, on the x-axis and the y-axis, or the z. Okay, so here I'll do the z, and I can kind of move it through. Okay. Now, if I turn off this, I can hit this button here. I can flip it, by the way. So there's a couple things I can do. I can flip it, the direction of the cutting. But what I can also do is I can look at it head on. And, let me change the view to be parallel here. And what I can do is, with this particular section, I can hide it. Okay? So now, I've got something that's more circular, at least from that Z plane that I've done that. And potentially now I can do a measurement. Maybe I can do an axis or circle. Or when I do my 3-point measurement, and maybe it'd be more accurate, because at least accurate in that particular plane. Now that's one click, second click, and I can decide what I want. In this case, I want a 3-point circle. There's my 3rd-point circle, okay? Now, if I grab the side of the section, this allows me to rotate it around. In fact, if I put a couple of sections on there, now I can do some pretty interesting quarter sections and things like that. Okay. Now, if I hide a section, you actually will keep the section lines too, which is kind of cool. The cross section that you've made makes a section line, and you're able to even pull that out here in this little viewer if you want. You want to see the section that you made with that particular piece. You get those sections there. Okay. Let me go back to my nominal view. I'll create another slide. The last thing here is another annotation, which is a picture annotation. Why would I want to do that? Well, guess what? Maybe you took a picture of a problem on the shop floor, of a defect, and you want to show where that defect was on top of the 3D model. So I can click on picture. Where do I want? I had an issue right there. Where did it come from? File or webcam? Let me do the webcam. Here I am. Webcam, right? There's a problem. Capture it. There. Okay? Now we've got that in the review. And you do the same as a 2D picture. This one will rotate with the points, as I mentioned. Oops. If that ever happens, fit all in. There we go. Okay, so that's the review that I've made. Now how do I store this thing? It's pretty simple. I'm going to click on Review, and this little button with the arrow going in to the database, save the markup. I'll give it a name, a description if I want, and hit OK. And then you will see a little saving up here as it's saving that information into the database. I think I saved it. We'll see if it maybe saved 2 for me. There it is. Unable to save the review. Oh, excellent. Probably because I already saved it. Let's see if it's there. All right. could have a network issue right now at the moment. That's why I created a few just in case I couldn't save on the live demo. That always happens on live demos, doesn't it? So, it did save this one. Thank you. Whew. Thank you. All right, so we are saved live. Over here, my search results, this won't display that oh yeah, look at that, we got them all. It saved them all. At least I didn't lose anything, it saved them all. Okay, I don't want all these ones now. Let me just go ahead and blast a couple of these guys away. That suspension live demo, it will appear in the search results once the indexing is done. It's an indexed search result, so a couple of minutes on the cloud, it indexes every so often, you'll see those appear. Okay, now, that's wonderful. We've created a review, we've worked on it. If I exit this out and I come back again, I can, as I showed, I can click on this little icon and I can grab, you know, the thing that we just made. There it is. There's the purple part. There's the other slide with the dimensions and so on. So how do you share this with people? Here's the really good news. You don't have to give somebody this role in order for them to see the slides that you've created. Okay? In fact, here's this little button here to show this the play slides. You can use 3D Play. Here it is. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Because if I 3D Play this front suspension, what do you think 3D Play is going to show? Front suspension. It's not going to give access to those reviews. You need the 3D Review app in order to see those reviews. But here are my other reviews. Drag and drop that thing. Now what do you get? You get the review. Right, here's the one, the suspension review number 2, and there was the goldish looking yellowy color here. But this is all live in a database, right? So if I were to go in and go back to that suspension review number 2 and go to this thing here, and let's take the wheel and we'll change that to be red. Okay, we save this back. Okay, let's hope it saves. Saving, saved, excellent. Come over here to suspension review, drag and drop. Try that again. Refresh it. It should pull that color of red. It's live. There's no, oops, you got the wrong file. Oops, we're reviewing the wrong thing. You can't. It's not possible. If it's saved, it's in the database, you review it, you retrieve it, you have it. So this is amazing for speed of engagement, of sharing in real time. Okay, now, how do you go from this to some kind of approval? Because the topic of this webinar was review and approve. Well, this app itself doesn't do the approval. Okay, how do you do the approval? You can do the approval any number of ways. This could be the context of a collaborative task. And when the task is done, the new deliverable is there. Someone can use this to review the deliverable and make sure things are done, and then approve the task. If it's a change action, this review could be a context in the change action that then can tell someone what to do, and then someone can go and review that and say, yes, you've done what's been asked, I approve this. So I look at this as an instrumental way to help do the work, communicate what you need, to understand the work to be done, and then to validate that work has been done. And I think that's a very, very important way to clearly communicate using the powerful language of 3D. And all of this that I'm showing here works on an iPad. Some of the dimensioning might be a little tricky, you know, if you're doing point-to-point dimensions, but certainly the annotations and markups will work very, very well. Unfortunately, I can't show it to you the way this system is set up right now with my iPad, but rest assured, this exact same screen can run in Safari on your iPad because there's no plugins here. It's all native, you know, HTML5, WebGL, all the new technology there.